Welcome to another episode of Hempire. I'm Pete Bahrenburg. I'm always here with Nick DiFrancesco, CEO and founder of PurWell. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good, Pete. We're just getting back from Chicago, cutting some people up. We were at a cadaver lab, which is kind of cool.
I can do it Achilles lengthening now.
Yeah. Yeah, so for all the listeners, we went to it's MIFA's, it's a cadaver lab out in Chicago where, we talk to a lot of doctors and healthcare professionals. And you actually got to, touch a dead leg and, and learn some surgery, Pete.
I definitely learned some surgery. So if anybody needs to get a little longer in their Achilles, they can call me up. I got a cheap price.
Yeah, I'm sure. Real cheap. He's better on the dead ones, folks. He's much better on the dead ones.
They don't scream as much or sue.
It's kind of funny because, go ahead, Pete. Why don't you introduce who we got on? We're on that same theme of dead. So let's talk about who we got on today.
We have actually one of the founders of Hollywood Undead and also the Ramshead Cannabis industry and owners. We have Richard as well. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How you doing? Kind of nervous talking to you, sickos, talking about dead bodies and all that stuff.
Oh, I'm telling you, Pete was freaking me out. He was very excited about touching
a gleam in his eye you've never seen before.
No, what's crazy is
it definitely had a sparkle.
No. It's crazy. They just give every one of these doctors a whole leg. You don't see the whole body. It's just they're all laying out in different tables with just one full leg. And, when you see them bringing them in and stuff, it's a little freaky. I'll
be honest, that kind of gives me like the willies a little bit. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, it was insane. It's not something that happens all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle that.
And it's crazy when they cut them out. They're dead, but you couldn't tell the difference the way that apparently they are very fresh, the guy said. So
they're not that expensive either. You're talking about $400 to $500. You could get your own leg.
You get your own leg.
Nick,
for science.
Excited. You sound like you're getting excited now.
I'll be honest with you. I was a little freaked out, but I was excited. I thought that it was going to cost us an arm and a leg, and it was just 2 legs to get into the conference. So saved a little bit of money there.
Terrible.
So obviously, you guys got that new single coming out, City of the Dead. It's a cannabis-focused song, of course, from your 8th studio album, which is awesome. And then Hotel California, which is due out on August 12th. Talk to us a little bit about cannabis and your connection to music, and just tell us why you picked a cannabis-focused song, or what
That's such a big part of my life. You know what I mean? It's like that's all Richard and I do all day, every day, is talk about cannabis. You know what I mean? Once you, it's like. It's funny because I'm not going to call it a lifestyle. It's more just like brained in my life. You know what I mean? I never woke up one day. I was like, oh, I'm going to be like into cannabis. You'll see people walking around with like weed socks and, all their cookies gear. And they're like, oh, this is my life. I'm like, no, I never chose that. Like just woke up one day and just started growing and I just could not stop. So I talk about cannabis more. I talk about music. Richard and I talk all day, every day about cannabis. So like when I'm writing music, it's just a part of it, whether I'm smoking or not. I'm still thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, welcome to our world.
And with this song, I was thinking about, like, we're writing lyrics. I was like, man, like, Tom Petty would have said some cool-ass shit. Like, I'm fucking, like, he would say he was stoned, So I was like, why don't we say shit like that? I was like, so I was thinking about, like, Tom Petty when we wrote those lyrics.
Nice. And it's kind of funny what you said that, but obviously younger kid growing up, California, obviously. And it's funny because people don't realize okay. Some people are getting into it. It's new. They see the medical benefits and everything. But for a lot of people that we bring on and just ours, it's a lifestyle. It's part of your life. Like you said, you're thinking about it. You're talking about it. It's not like just need to, it's a new thing for us. And, we're just repping it now and saying cannabis is a great thing. It's ingrained. It's in our bloodstream. Right. So
it's just it is. And someone like Richard, he comes from like he had a concrete company, This dude like literally built our facility from the ground up. This dude could build anything. He could build an ark that'll save us all when the floods come.
But I love it.
Now
you can build us a studio.
Started learning about growing all that shit, and he's the same thing. Like 11 at night, he's like texting me a photo of a bud. Like, does this look normal, or are the leaves getting burned? It's like consumed him now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because obviously I don't know if you know too much about us and everything. I have 3 farms out in Pueblo and Colorado, in Pueblo, Colorado, Chilla, California, and Evergreen, Colorado. But so I'm definitely on both sides. I've been in cannabis for a long time, and we do a lot of custom formulations. And I thought it was pretty cool when you were talking about Tokyo Snow and how you were, the way you came about that. Tell us a little bit about that and the passion that you put into trying to find something unique.
Richard, how many seeds did we pop? Like 200 or something?
Yeah, there was a lot of seeds to pop to find where you was able to find that one pheno that everybody loved. And other people here too have tried to grow Tokyo, and it just doesn't compare to what Jorel and I have done with it, for sure.
It's because when the first strain we had was from Compound Bud, we had a lot, like 200 seeds, right? So clearly some of them were like herming, some were like popping, seeds. And we're like, when Oklahoma first started, we're still selling the bud, we're trying to, get our legs. And people were like buying some of the bud and finding seeds and then popping those seeds, but those weren't the phenos that we kept. So like, I got Tokyo Snow, but it's like nothing like ours. Dude, it took us like 3 years to find this one strain of Tokyo Snow. And like the colas grow like as big as our arms. It turns purple. It's gassy. It's like people have offered us thousands of dollars for a cut. And I'm just like, I can't do that. And it's like our staple. It's definitely our most popular strain. I mean, you know how it is from a cultivator side to find something that's like semi-exotic and yields. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It literally yields like Gorilla Glue or apple cider, but it's not. It's like, it's pretty rare. So I love that. But just because you pop seeds doesn't mean you find a winner. Our friend Ramsey told us that. Like sometimes we'll pop like 50 seeds and we're trying to hold on to one. He's like, dude, just because you pop them doesn't mean you found a winner, dude. I'm just letting you know. And it's like a year of your time wasted. You know what I mean? You know how that goes.
Well, let me go. All right, we have so much to unpack here. All right, first of all, let's go back to the fact that you're now in Oklahoma because you were obviously grew up in California. You started in California. So we're going to talk about that because what made you move to Oklahoma then. And I also want to talk about the strain that you have and what makes a difference, terpene profile, things like that. So let's go back to first why you're in Oklahoma now and the difficulties you had in California and why you made that decision.
So starting in California, like obviously on the black market, that's how we all started. So in garage, just like the Jungle Boys, just like every, famous grower now, we all start in garages, like usually Valley. And so finally I was like, this is really hard for me to maintain this business and go on tour. I'm not quitting my band. And I'm like, I want to go to the legal side and have a full staff. And who doesn't, when it first went legal, it was all like the shit that was promised us was never really happened, obviously. So we ponied up a bunch of money. We all put in, found an area in the green zone, as you would call it.
Right.
Building that's like 3 times, what it's worth, all that shit. Then a fire inspection is $40,000. I'm like, the fucking candy factory next door. I just went and talked to them. They make caramels. It was fucking $500 for their fire inspection. Why is it $40,000? And then they're like, you need to put in a diaper changing table. I'm like, kids, no one under 21 is allowed to enter the building. There's no diapers. And then they're like, you need to move this wall. Move the wall. So every time they come in and tell you something, it's 6 months before the city comes back. Next thing you know, it's like a year down, and you're paying like all this money for nothing. You're not allowed.
Fucking ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. So then one of the owner of the building, he was like, I'm just firing this bitch up. Oh, I'm black. Walked away. It's just so I still wanted to be in the legal space. That's when I went to Oklahoma and everything. And they kind of gave away too many licenses out there. That's a whole nother like can of worms. Like everybody went to Oklahoma and started growing. It's a little too easy. I've seen some of the worst grows in my life out there. I've been to thousands all over the world, because everyone just kind of jumped in out there. But like it kind of was like a second chance for guys like me. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Be in the legal market. You know how it is in California. A license could be $1 million.
Well, what I did is and when I got into it, I went on the hemp side. So we're all, we're cannabis, we're hemp. I did it because I wanted to not have to worry about, that's not the only reason, but one of the reasons that we got into this side and why I went into hemp is because I could sell in all 50 states. I didn't have the same type of regulations with cannabis. I could bank my money and things like that. And that's what a lot of people don't know. This is why I love doing this show, because here you go talking about really the trials and tribulations of what goes on with people that are trying to. Now, I mean, look, you go down to California, you can have a guy on a skateboard with a backpack trying to sell you 3 pounds of, a weed, and so anybody can grow in the back of their yard pretty much. Right. So, and they talk about how 80% of legacy weed or cannabis sales is still legacy versus what they're trying to do and legalize it. So California's got a lot of things backwards, where I think that Colorado definitely figured it out.
For sure.
Right. But so that's interesting that you said it yourself, but you just said they're just pushing you away. They're just pushing you back. They're trying to get more money.
Yeah, exactly. Someone like me who's like extremely passionate about this whole industry and about growing. I live, breathe, and eat this. I've been growing every day. I haven't been on tour for the past year. I just never told anyone because I don't want to get robbed. I don't want to get arrested. So many reasons. We all know that.
Right. Of course.
But it's like, you go to like your fucking neighbor down the hall and pay 30. It's not a hard decision to make. Like, if I had to buy like a bottle of moonshine for $20 or go to the store and buy moonshine for $80, that was same shit. I'd be like, I'm buying it for my neighbor. You know what I mean? Like, and then California's talking about giving subsidies to growers. I'm like, motherfucker, you're giving us our own money back. Like, You're gonna help us. You're giving me my money back. Like, fuck you. I just had enough.
Yeah, left pocket to right pocket. That's about it.
Well, I mean, you just said it. I mean, he's sitting there trying to do all the right things, and then you got the guy down the street in his backyard growing, and you're trying to compete on the same. Not that you're. I mean, obviously, quality is king, right? But but price point is. Come on, price is always going to be a factor.
But love for those guys, because those are all my friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
People aren't doing it like that. I'm like, you know what? You had the right idea. I had friends. I was like, yo, I got people with licenses want to go legal, and they're like, fuck no. 2 years later, I was like, I'm glad you didn't listen to me. I would have fucking pulled you under with me. I'm glad you stayed.
Well, you said, right. No, that's, it's funny because you were just saying, when you're talking about people trying to get in, okay, they don't really understand what it takes. It doesn't make sense to people. They're like, oh, you're just selling weed. There's so much to it. You're looking to try to find a specific strain, right? You're trying to find something unique. Quality is important. You're trying to deal with the money outlay, right? You're competing with all these different people. You go to Oklahoma. Obviously, I just remember you said something specifically, and I couldn't remember, but now I did. You said you could even sell a pound for about $1,500. Right. And even at that point, with taxes and everything, you're not even making money at that point. You're still down in California, even selling a pound for about $1,500.
I mean, $1,500 right now is honestly high. Like, Richard can break down finances like to a T. It's like that lit. We're like for top shelf, and our shit's good. To my own horn, but I'm like, dude, we're like lucky if we're 12 right now. It's so flood. And then after taxes and expenses, like, Richard, what does it cost us to grow a pound right now?
So before we added this other room, we're in the 400s, middle 400s maybe, right there around it. We added another flower room to our grow, so it's going to cut our cost down a lot so we can try to stay in this market and not, we can sustain it at least.
No, smart, absolutely. But what did you just say? I mean, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
But you got to think like, okay, so say we get it down to 400. We spent like fucking $millions on this endeavor. So like, we got to pay us back, we got to pay other people back, we got to pay our employees. So you're selling it for $1,200. That money's not profit. We're gonna be like in red for a while now.
And taxes. Right? Yeah. So, which we all know the California taxes are crazy. Now, how is it much better, obviously, in Oklahoma? But what did you say? You said they saw the strains, and we'll get back to the strains now. So they saw basically Tokyo Snow. There's obviously spinoffs. But what did you notice just immediately going to Oklahoma? Bigger market, better margins?
Right away, it was better margins. It was like $3,000 a pound. It almost wasn't fair. When I first went out there in like 2019, 2020, I was like, yo, this is like too easy. I was like, nobody knows how to grow out here, and it's fucking $3,000 a pound. So we were like blowing it out at first, and that's how we started reinvesting the money into the big facility. You know what I mean?
Right.
Crash, but we started all from seeds, all from compound. We literally popped like 500 seeds. So it's a lot of fennel hunting, but we had shit like people didn't have. Like, yo, I've never seen purple wheat before. I was like, okay, like,
Right.
purple weed. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it was fun at first, but then, everyone figured it out. I got friends from LA that came out there and set up 500,000 light spots. We're talking like 20,000 square feet. They just blew it.
Shit.
A license is only $2,500, and land is $40,000 to buy. Building is cheap. If you go outside of city limits, not a lot of regulations. So it's like, again, I'm not hating on these people. I know a lot of these people, but they're just like, everybody went too big too fast. And Oklahoma is the state that crashed the national market for sure.
Well, you think it's very similar what Kentucky and other places did in hemp. So, and just these major companies. I mean, what we do is we do specialized formulas, and that's why I want to get back to Tokyo Snow and what makes you guys different. But that's what we did. There's CBD on every corner. There's head shops. There's all these different stuff. We don't do anything like that. We sell to doctors and healthcare professionals. We do custom formulations. We've won medical awards. We really are on a different level, but we differentiate ourselves because of that. And that's kind of why I keep getting back to this Tokyo Snow, trying to get this out of you. You're saying the color, and the color is great, fine. But what is it the terp profile? What are you guys looking for that you're saying, what makes this so special, and why you went pheno hunting, and this is what you came up with?
I mean, so right now, unfortunately, I wish I could lie about it. So unfortunately, I love to tell you, like, oh, it's the best terps, it's this, it's that. Literally, right now, people are only buying purple. So when you're running a commercial facility and you have to keep your lights on, you can grow purple shit. Like,
right, okay.
A strain called Puta Breath. The breeder was Thug Pug. I've had this strain for like 9 years. I gave it to friends. It got passed around. I just got it back. My friend still has it. The terps are insane. It's the strongest smelling weed I've ever seen in my life. One nug will like smell up a whole building. It smells like a lemon cake dipped in gasoline. The terpene profile is insane. Like, I think when I got it tested, before it was in the 3s or something, and it's not green right now. So we're literally not running it. It's not purple. Sorry, we literally don't have it in rotation because it's not purple.
I see. Okay.
It kills me. Hey, Dylan, come here. So one of the guys in my band, you like this story. So I love like certain strength genetics, right? When I was on tour with Cypress Hill one time, this grower from Michigan, he brought me a clone. It was a Gorilla Cookies clone. It's Gorilla Glue mixed with Girl Scout cookies. It was in a tiny little clone shipper pot. It was like dead. I was like, I appreciate it, but what am I supposed to do with this? I got it floor, and it's like raining outside. It's freezing. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I gotta trash this, man. I'm sorry. The dude in my band was like, hell no. He put it in his bunk, and every night he turned the light on it. He'd bring it into hotel rooms and put it in the sun, and he'd give it water. Like for a month, he kept it alive. Great. It wasn't right. He kept it alive, right? And then finally, when I got home, I was like, okay, well, you still have it. I'm just going to bring it to my facility. I put in like a mother pot, kept growing it. I turned a huge bomb. I literally cut like 100,000 clones over the years from that one little clone.
Damn.
So hard. I probably pulled like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds from that one clone. And then I got the Hops Latin virus and just like decimated the it couldn't, for some reason, that strain couldn't handle it. All those trimmers were calling it zombie weed. Destroyed that strain, but it was like a yielder. It smelled good and it was frosty, but all from that one clone on that tour. He carried it around with him. Like, if he'd take it to catering with him, he'd sit at the catering table, have his little plant with him. And I'm like, dude, that guy okay? He's got that little plant. I was like, yeah, it's like a weed clone.
He's bringing, some people bring their kids, some people bring their spouses. Baby little weed. Right there.
They're all babies to somebody.
Yeah, right.
Plant, and then Be Real was walking by. He's like, I know what that is.
Come on, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is why we do this. This is the real. This is how it should be, And it's great for everybody that comes on and listens to our show and stuff. This is what we try to do. We try to bring out what's really going on, just stories. We kick back, we talk. But I do have to ask kind of something a little serious, because people always want me to ask certain things, and we see a lot of legacy musicians getting their music catalog and publishing rights bought. And now Harbor View Equity Partners just purchased the publishing recorded music catalog of Hollywood Undead. Yeah. So obviously, let's talk a little bit about that deal and how the music industry has gone buying catalogs of established artists over playing the game of streaming to social media to push out music. Because I remember you said we made a deal with the devil at some point because we had to.
I mean, in that sense, it's like that could have been the smartest or dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm not going to know till 10 years down the road. So in my opinion, like, so say you get money from streaming. The reason why I started growing weed was because physical sales weren't selling, right? This was like 10 years ago. I was going on tour, selling out shows. I owed the record label a shit ton of money. So I was just like, dude, how am I selling out shows and I can't even pay my fucking rent? I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I was just like, streaming was.
Wait, you got it. Wait, let's talk about this because you're selling out shows. I read something. You're selling out shows. You're going on tour for like 6-8 weeks, and you're coming back with like $3,000, worried about paying your rent. I mean, people need to understand what's going on. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah. We were signed to. It's called a 360 deal. I think they're illegal now. I hope so. And so basically, they take half your merch. Like the shit that the music industry will do is like give you an advance on, let's say like, oh, here's $1 million merch advance, but we're taking half of that because you're on a 360 deal, but you're responsible to pay back that whole $1 million, even though they took half. So you have to tour and pay back the $1 million, even though you only took 500. Like that's one of the worst loans you could possibly have. So that's the kind of shit that kept happening to us. And when that happened, we're going on tour. I'm like, all our merch money is going to pay back this debt. You know, like out of like fucking all this money, I only walked away with like $40,000 or some shit. $40,000, like, you know, somebody's broke. I fucking flew through that in like 4 months. I was like, I didn't even buy cars. I didn't buy nothing. I just was like partied my ass off. So next thing you know, I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, how am I playing these shows come back to $3,000? So this was before like Airbnb. I was posting ads on Craigslist to like rent my room out in Hollywood. And there was fucking weirdos staying in my bedroom when I was gone. My room.
I can imagine.
They're like, dude, this dude is like fucking licking the pots in the kitchen. Like fucking, like every time I left work, they hated it. They're like, this guy comes out at 3 a.m. with like his little electronic keyboard and plays music in the middle of the night. Scares the fuck out of me. Like weird shit was going on. But I was having to go on Craigslist and fucking post ads to rent my room out because I could not afford my room when I was going on tour. So finally I was like, dude, this is insane. Streaming wasn't a thing. Sales weren't selling. I owed so much money. I was like, I need to make money. So I was like, I'm going to sell my car and set up space in the garage, start growing. Because like my friend showed up. He had like a jar of weed that was like a pound. And he was I think he was from the Rolling 60 Crips, like down south. And he's like, check this out. I was like, I've never seen that much weed in my life. How much is that worth? He was like, that is worth right back. He's like, right now, like $2,000. I was like, you fucking kidding me? I made $2,000 in 2 months.
Right.
How long did it take you to grow that? He's like, 2 months. I was like, okay, I'm in. So I sold my car and I just started from there. But then it became like an obsession after that shit. Like, you know, once I started like mixing the nutrients and like setting the pumps up and like I only set up like 2 tents. I was like, this is insane. I was like, I fucking love this. My girl at the time was mad at me. She's like, you need to get the fuck out of there. And I was like, I can't. So, you know, so fast forward is, you know, basically weathered the storm. So to answer your question is like, that's why I started growing. And selling to publishing is like, it's either a great idea or a bad idea. I personally want to be in charge of my like money and shit. Like I like to invest into growing because that's what I do. So it's like now I have like 10 years of my income all at once. It's basically what happened. In 10 years, I might fucking shoot myself and be like, damn, I'm not getting, you know, I just spent all that money and I could have kept getting checks forever. Or I can take that money and invest it and make it into more. So it's basically like, let's just like throw a dollar amount out there, say $1 million. Like, I'm actually curious what you guys would do if someone's like, you can get $1 million spread over the next 10 years, but then you're not getting it anymore, or take $1 million now and invest it. Like, what do you think you would do?
Well, it's funny because this is the lottery question. This is the question that everybody asks when you see the $50 million, oh, I'm going to win the lottery. What are you going to do with the money? Now, nobody really understands that this is what they get. They get this same dilemma. Yeah. They pay it over. America's Got Talent or, you know, like American Idol or any, they all get the same deal. It's either you get a certain amount of money up front with no rights, and then you string it out, right? And I think it's an individual question because it depends on where you are in your music career, what do you want to do, where you think it's going to take you, but what opportunities do you have right now, i.e., cannabis situation, that you could take now and have your money work for you. If your money can work for you double, triple, quadruple for what you could make in that amount of time, then you got to take the deal. You got to take
that's
that.
how I feel, but I'm in control of that. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, oh, take the money and they go buy dumb shit like jet skis and fucking motorcycles.
No. Well, I didn't say that. I said make money, not waste money. And that's kind of obviously where you got Richard here. Getting into the helm and obviously helping you with this. He seems, and we got to get Richard a little more involved, so we'll talk to him a little bit more. But my point is that I feel something that nobody understands that struggle. And if you were in that situation, now, again, we talk to a lot of athletes, something like that. That's different. You're betting on yourself. You could get injured. There's something you're not, your future. They're telling you it's 10 years of this or lump sum up front. I mean, it's not like I might get injured in 2 years. I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, if you're smart about what you do, I think you did the right choice. If you're going to go blow your money and, then obviously you made the wrong decision, because that money will compound and you will make money down the line, because there's a lot of ways but who knows? Now let's get into this. Who knows where music's going to be in 10 years?
I don't know.
No more CDs, no more 8-tracks, no more tapes. Everything's digital. What happens if they come up with something that we don't even know about?
AI. It's just going to be AI generated bullshit.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like my band could be huge in 10 years. It could be obsolete. It's a gamble either way. But since we're on the subject of money, like, Richard had a very successful like concrete company. I mean, I don't want to throw numbers here, but I'm pretty sure he was clearing over $70,000 a month. You know what I mean? For him. And like, he gave all that up for this industry, and he's making like peanuts right now, but he doesn't regret it one bit, because he's like, I love this shit. You know what I mean? Tell him about that, Richard.
Yeah, Richard, I'd love to hear that, because we all paid our dues and still paying them. So tell us a little bit about that, Richard.
Yeah, just kind of like you're explaining it, the kind of one lump sum of something, what can happen in 10 years. I think when I started this with Jorel, him and I really hit it off, and I knew Jorel was a lot smarter in the head and number wise, kind of like myself. And I've done construction my whole life, so it was a time, kind of like you say, I got an offer to sell it, and it kind of worked out of being like, I'll take it now. I don't know where my company would have been in 10 years. And I know that Jorel and I could grow this within that 10 years and probably double or triple the money. So, of course, I fell in love with this industry. Like I say, Jorel said, we kind of don't ever quit talking to each other about it until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, it's now blood. I don't have the experience or the time that Jorel has, but we've actually built something really good here together, and I believe 100% into it. I put everything I have into it now, and I sold my other company, retired out of that, and this is all I do now. So we're going to make it work one way or another, and we're going to make it worth enough money where hopefully we can both retire again later on. So the one lump sum is definitely, I feel like, where it's at if you're smart enough to invest it correctly.
Your
Hold on one second. My alarm.
Yeah.
The best thing about this industry is like, it is what you make it. Richard's done time. You know what I mean? How many, a lot of my friends have, how many dudes like have that chance in life? You don't. But in this industry, if you were like honest and work hard and dedicated, you're going to last. Like, where can a guy like myself or you guys or Richard do something like that? Like, it's not possible. I can't just go to med school and be like, I want to own this hospital. Like, they're going to laugh at me and be like, you're not part of the right family. You weren't born with the right name type shit. So,
that's for sure.
I'm not the Kaiser family, whatever you want to call it. But dudes like Richard and I gave everybody a shot. Like, dude, you can literally own your own company and be successful if you're willing to do what it takes. You know what I mean? That's what I love about cannabis. It's like, that shit leveled the playing field. Obviously, there's a lot of people trying to make quick money, but they come and go. You know what I mean? Like, one of my very good friends FaceTimed me the other day, and he's like, I'm out. I was like, dude, you're like one of the biggest trappers in Southern California. He's like, I got shot 3 times this year. He's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm so over this lifestyle. He's like, easy come, easy go. You know what I mean? He's like, I lost millions this year, and I'm pretty much broke now. He's like, I'm just done. So that was one of the reasons why I want to go on the legal side. I was like, I don't give a fuck about cars. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. I'm not trying to like buy Rolexes. I'm trying to like leave a legacy. You know what I mean? With like a brand name that people like.
You know what? That is probably one of the realest things we've had somebody on the show talk about, because the truth is that, everything you just said is the absolute truth. That's even why I do it and why everybody does it. I obviously went the legal route. I always try to do it. We're trying to do things that help people in different ways. It's not just about the plant, but, medical conditions and things like that. But like you said, you can make your own narrative. You're not defined by your social class or where you are. I wish, people are like, well, it's the American dream, right? But it's not the American dream for everything. Yes, the athletes that work hard. What, we think that athletes don't work hard? Athletes are busting their ass. But how many actually make it to the NFL or the NBA or the NHL? So
what is it, like 1% or something like that? It's very,
right?
very
Probably even less, yeah.
Yeah.
And
got the best quarterback in the country, and he don't even make it to the NFL.
right. Or, so now you think about something where you would feel, okay, or let's say a musician, right? Could be the best guitarist, could be the best vocalist, doesn't have the right band, doesn't have the right shot, doesn't get noticed, I don't know. There's a lot of different options, right? So that is a huge point that you bring up. And the fact of, that's what we do. We're busting our ass every single day, trying to bring out things that nobody has had. But I think you said it the best. I don't need a car. I don't need this. I need my dream and my passion to move this business and do what I got to do. And I just felt when I got into it, which was more than 10 years ago. So I worked on, Epidiolex. So it was the first FDA regulated, so CBD was regulated for epilepsy, for Epidiolex. And then, with Veritas Farms and Medterra and everything else, I just saw that the idea is I want to be able to bank the money. I wanted to be able to do the things legally, but it's been a struggle. I mean, we're, even me, my crew, my team, my farm, everything, everybody's putting their blood, sweat, and tears into something that has just, we all have a passion to not only we enjoy the plant, helping people, but the culture, everything. And people need to know, and that's what I love that you're saying. You're speaking from the heart. It really levels the playing field. Like, go out there, do everything you can to be the best you can. But it will now, as long as you diversify, right? So you have to be flexible, like you said. Okay, well, we're opening up another grow house. So, or is it a grow house? Is it? You said you're opening up another division. It's in a grow house, though, correct? It's indoor.
We're adding room to it.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Now I mean, you have to see. You're right now. It's purple, right? This is what people are after. People want whatever it is. It's sneakers, or they want a specific name brand, or they need. You got to go with the times of what it is. But is your product good? Is it sustainable? Can you be different than somebody else? That's what's going to, and that in my business on the hemp side has been a struggle.
So I got to ask you a question, because you know exactly what I'm talking about, because so CBD just popped up at gas stations. There's a meme that I fucking remember, it made me laugh like out loud. It's like, I need to buy my CBD from a reputable source, like Mobile,
Right.
Selling CBD at gas stations. Like, that's garbage. But it's not like, I don't know too much about it, but I know like to be full spec. I've taken like real CBD. Whoa, this is fucking insane. But so it's kind of hard to get your hands on. So from your standpoint, how are you weathering the storm of people like debunking your product? Like, oh, that shit don't work. That's snake oil. But it's like, oh yeah, 90% oil, but not mine. How?
I mean, could you have teed up a question any better? I don't think it's even possible. I literally don't think it's possible to tee up a question any better. No. Okay. So here's the thing. We've fought this forever since we started. And I say to people, well, if you had a medical condition, would you go to a gas station? No, right? Yeah. You'd go to somebody that's reputable. You would want to, right? You'd go to a doctor. So the way that we got in is we went to creating custom formulations for specific disease states, going directly to doctors and healthcare professionals, where we only sell to doctors and healthcare professionals or pharmacies, where we're USDA certified organic, we're kosher, we're non-GMO. But making the plant the big part of it. But now what we do is we mix molecules, active ingredients for a specific disease state, and we add it so we make it better. So when we compete against somebody that has CBD, it's not a fair fight because it's never going to be apples to apples. I have a full spectrum oil that has 167 cannabinoids. They have something that maybe has 1 or 2, but that's where they stop. We have all these other ingredients in our products that help to a specific disease state. And so when
areas,
I'm sorry, say that again.
You're targeting certain areas.
Right. So we target pain, inflammation, sleep, anxiety, depression, but we do formulas that have been proven naturally to treat a certain condition. And then we make it when it has no side effects or no contraindications or no drug-on-drug interaction. So our products are really competing against pharmaceuticals, not other cannabis companies. Now, my oil, best oil. Obviously, we're going to keep you on because I want to get all your information. We're going to send you some awesome stuff, some swag, and some products. But you're going to try it, and you're going to go, wow, that's what hemp and CBD full spectrum oil is supposed to feel like and what it actually does.
Yeah.
And most people want that, and they don't want the high. They just have medical conditions. They want to get better, and they don't want side effects.
So my mom, terrified of THC, heard about CBD. But I'm like, look, Mom, I know it helps. I just can't get. I don't know where to get because there was such a shitstorm of CBD market. Like all over the world. I was in like Switzerland, like just like flood. But anywhere there's money, there's shysters. So it's like all of a sudden, CBD's everywhere. And I'm like, I was a proponent, believer of it. I'm like, I know it works, but like, I started going to like health food stores and buying it. I was like, I don't feel like this is working. She didn't feel like it was working. Some of it was making me nauseous. So I didn't like have the knowledge or education to like guide her because everyone's cramming like crap down your throat. You know what I mean? Like, we have the best. You need full spectrum. You need this spectrum. And that's what's like. It's almost like when fucking outdoors we start every year start flooding the market. I'm just like, people are like, oh, I don't like weed. It gives me a headache. It hurts my throat. I'm like, you're smoking the wrong weed, man. So it's like, how do you fight that stigma? Because like my mom's turned off on CBD. Oh, it doesn't work.
The first thing that I did years ago is create a unified. Now, this is not a regulation, but all the products that we're part of with PurWell is the COA is right on the box. Why is that important? People have, certificates of analysis, right? But the thing is, they only have maybe 1 page. Ours is full of, it's 9 pages that talks about the origin, the pesticides, the heavy metals, the actual content of what you're getting, the terpene profile, the, all of, pesticides, heavy metals. I said that, just everything that you would want to know that you wish that you had for everything, right? I mean, could you imagine going to McDonald's and getting a COA on a burger? I mean, you would want to read it, right? But I'm just saying, so you want it, that's the step 1, right? So we put that and we made that a regulation where we put it on that. The fact that we're USDA certified organic, kosher, non-GMO, all these good things, that's very, very important as well because where it's coming from, it's sustainable. How, again, we don't use China. It's not from China. It's not from, and you laugh, but there's a lot of stuff that's being imported from all over because they're cutting costs, just like anything else.
As Jorel's talking about,
okay, hold on.
It's wild you're talking about that because me and Jorel have talked many a times about trying to break into the market to actually help children. I'm sure you deal with that a lot with CBD. Veterans, I hang out with a big group of my good friends are Navy SEALs, and they ask constantly, I wish y'all would do something with the cannabis world that you can save our lives because, like he tells me, 25 to 30 Navy SEAL veterans kill themselves every day.
Wow.
Due to
Kill 22.
I mean, all you do is fill them with opiums. Yeah. So it's like me and Jorel have talked about this. And then you bringing this up of how you work directly with doctors and that. I wish we had a market for that here and able to take it elsewhere because it truly does. It saves people's life. We did a kind of a little convention here a few months ago, and a little girl saved her life from cannabis, and she got up on stage and was able to talk and wasn't supposed to live another day, and she's sitting there living proof. So I know it truly helps people, but that's hard when everybody's here trying to make $1 and break into that market to be like, this can really save your life. Then their insurance won't cover them. So you've actually done a really tough market, and I love hearing you say how you can do it, and how you're being able to treat people with doctors and everything else. So that's amazing to hear that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's split down the middle, the divide. Like, for instance, my mom, like, she's just against drugs. But my girl's mom, my mother-in-law, she's a retired, got like her body is toast. And she smokes weed and takes cannabis because she's like, dude, I can't sleep. I'm in pain if I don't. So it's like, how is my mother-in-law so with it and my mom so against?
Yeah, definitely. I want you guys both to stay on after, so I can get all your stuff, and I'm telling you, hopefully we could work together somehow. I mean, I have things that I think you'll love.
Oh, that would be amazing. I think he got disconnected. What he was trying to say is his mother-in-law now, she's a huge old Navy veteran, up and down on the ships pretty much her whole life. She actually takes cannabis now. So that's what he's trying to explain. Like, his mom is still kind of hurting because she can't get on the cannabis, but the mother-in-law smokes and does what she does every day with cannabis, and she's pretty pain-free from it, when she does it. So, similar as you do with the CBD, it's just, how do you break into that market in cannabis when a lot of people still don't believe in it, so it's crazy what you've done with that. It's amazing, and it gives people, hope too. So that's really cool.
Well, it hasn't been easy, Richard. That's for sure.
I'm sure it hasn't been easy. What you're talking about is like, me and Jorel have talked about it in our team many a times, but it's just like, where do you break into this market? And they still won't give kids cannabis here. You have to get a lawyer and fight it. And we've even wanted to do charities to try to pay for these people's lawyers and how to do it. Same thing for veterans. That if you pop a drug test, they're not paying for your medicine no more. So your opiates are out of your life, and no telling what'll happen.
Well, hold on. You not having opiates might not be a bad thing, but what I'm saying to you is that, like, we create something that helps combat with people that have opiate addictions and inflammation with no side effects. But okay, but let's go back to the fact that I had a special agent that I was on yesterday. I mean, FBI agent I was talking to. Completely, they believe in it. Everything. Can't even use CBD, and the government's supposedly trying to open up these things, but they're not allowed to. So you have somebody that's in the government or working in the army and knows the benefits, can't use it because of testing.
That's so whack. Like, that's ridiculous. Since we're on the subject, like my father passed away. He had a cirrhosis of the liver, like stage 4. That's a guaranteed death sentence, right?
Right.
So back then it's like, he was in county hospital. We didn't have any money, and I just started like getting into growing. So they're putting him all these pills from the hospital. That shit was making him sleepwalk. Like, I went to a Motley Crue concert on New Year's Eve. I was like, oh, it's badass. I took some ecstasy. I was like, this is fucking dope. Having the time of my life. 2 songs in, my sister calls me. She's like, the cops have dad. He's attacking people on the street. So
Holy shit.
I had to leave the show. The cops have my dad like in the dirt in handcuffs. He's like a 69-year-old man. And I'm like, all right. At the time, I didn't think it was that bad because I was on ecstasy. I was like, this ain't so bad.
I was going to say.
But, long story short, I brought him home, and then he was like, you got like some weed or something? So I gave him like some medicated peanut butter. I was like, a tiny ass spoon. I was like, don't take more than that. I put him to bed, and then he snuck out in the middle of the night and ate the whole fucking jar. And then he thought he was dead, and he had to he was like, oh my God, I was trying to call 911. My hand wouldn't work. I thought I was dead. Fast forward, so he's in the hospital, right? We're bringing him back and forth. He's very, very sick at this point. And they keep giving him these pills that are sleepwalking. He's not fucking eating. Like, he's fucked up. So one of the dudes in my band was like, do me a favor. Like, I'm going to give you a bunch of trim. Like, make some edibles for my dad. He ate like 1 brownie, fucking slept for like 10 hours, woke up and ate. He's like, man, I haven't felt this good in a month. And he's like, can you make me more? I was like, of course. So I take him to the hospital next time. He's already dying. It's happening. And the hospital's like, hey, we found THC in his system. If you test positive again, we're pulling him off Medicare and you can't bring him back here. And I was just like talking to the fucking nurse, and I was so mad. And I was like, whatever you're giving him is making him attack people. He can't fucking sleep. He's sleepwalking. He's a fucking zombie that's dying. What's wrong with a weed brownie to make him sleep and eat? They're like, we don't care. If we find THC, his Medicare is like cut off. Like, I'm like, so you're gonna let him die in his apartment by himself because he can't eat a weed brownie? He's like, nope, you can't have it. And I was just like, I had to stop giving them to him because he needed the hospital more than he needed me to sleep. You know what I mean? Like. So it was just like the divide. I was like, you guys are fucked. Like,
This is in hold on, this is in California? Where is this?
California. Yes, in Los Angeles.
That is on. Wait, how many years was this? I don't know how long ago this was.
This was probably 2017.
Okay, all right, but pretty recent. I mean, 2017. We're not full rec, but we're definitely at medicinal level at that point in California. But when
I don't know how the hospital's still standing. I would have burnt that fucker down.
Yeah.
When did rec go California? Do you know what year rec was in California? I don't remember off the top of my
head. No.
No. Okay, but my point, it's 2015. Okay, so you're at full rec in 2015. All right. Now, you're in 2017. This is clearly helping a man deal with, okay, maybe terminal, fine, but quality of life and obviously helping him for so many other reasons that we won't even get into, but there's other things that cannabis is doing to help him with inflammation and some other, we won't go into cancer and, all this stuff either. But my point is that, and I've heard from 2 podcasts ago, they said, listen, the nurses and doctors goes, listen, we have nothing for you. Why don't you go and find a dispensary and make you feel better? And this was we just heard about this maybe, about a week ago. So look how time has changed in just 3 or 4 years, but to cut somebody off that was obviously giving them relief because they'll test positive, so they'll get kicked off of Medicare. I mean, people, you have to understand this. This is why we're doing this show. There is so much going on behind the scenes of what's going on. Oh, that's so heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
That the same situation we're having today. One of the nurses messaged me later after he was gone, man, your dad was really cool. He talked about you a lot. He's like, I can't believe what happened. He's like, I don't know what to say to you. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Fight, the system? I mean, it's people like us. We're never trained to do this. We're no one put us through guerrilla warfare school, none of that stuff. We're teaching ourselves as we're going. And that's what I said. Dudes like us have a voice all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Without this, no, that's fine. But I'm glad that doing stuff like this, I could expose these motherfuckers.
Right, and this is what we're trying to do.
That's what it's about.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
But it's also to spread the word and to let people know that it doesn't have to be a bad name and a dirty word or a stigma to cannabis, and that's why I would love to talk to you guys after and see how we can work together somehow. But yeah, I mean, imagine me doing this 8 years ago and talking to a doctor, or even 5 years ago, and the doctor's like, no, this isn't in any of the books that I read about. This is, that's because for a lot of reasons, the books that you read are actually funded by Big Pharma. So let's talk about that. But, we won't get into, don't let me get you all started. Yeah. But all I'm saying is that there's a lot going on with, again, politics and everything we see, what you think you see and what you don't see.
Well,
and
at least the younger generation's catching up, I love my mom, but I just feel like she needs to be a little more open about certain things, you know what I mean? But she made up her mind. A lot of people in this world made up their mind. You're not going to convince them otherwise, but at least us talking to the generation below, it's hey, if it's not for you, it's not for you. I constantly tell kids, I know a lot of kids look up to me, don't think you need to smoke weed or do that because of me. You know what I mean? Don't let me influence you. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Don't feel like you need to. You don't need this shit to be cool. This is a lot of medicine for a lot of people. And if you don't need it, you don't like it, don't fucking do it. But, it's I feel there's not enough honesty. Smoke my shit. It's the best. I'm don't smoke it. You know what I mean? Don't force yourself to like it. If you don't like it, don't smoke weed. Don't develop a lifestyle. It's not yours. So it's there just needs to be more honesty everywhere,
Oh, couldn't have said
more
it any
honesty
better.
and with more stories. I mean, that's exactly how you're going to get, the word out, and people should hopefully start understanding those with the stigma and think there's a problem. This is why you kind of counter that, telling about personal issues that really had, beneficial outcomes to them.
Yeah, 100%.
I got to say, I think we should go on for a second round of this. We're going to have to wrap it up only just for so many reasons.
I feel like we're just getting started.
So we're going to have to section 2, version 2 of this conversation. So let's table it. Like I said, you guys, everybody that listens to the show, we love the support. If there's anything we could have said, we've done better, ask us more questions. Obviously, subscribe, follow, review us, iHeartRadio, tuned in,
Spotify,
Apple,
iTunes, all that. Everywhere you find any of the podcasts there. And then obviously, of course, if you want to check out you guys, follow you at the Hollywood Undead or check you out there. And Ramshead Cannabis as well. We want to make sure you guys get the proper look at too. So we thank you guys for your time for everything.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Pete.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast, republication, or retransmission of this program without proper consent is prohibited.